Welcome to the second episode of Series 80, everyone. This month we are covering romance games, but not just any romance games, specifically duo or solo play romance games. And this week I am pleased to have with us guest co-host and previous guest on the show, Senda Linaugh. Together, we are covering our first letter-writing duo RPG, a game called You Never Told Me, by Senda herself. But before we get to all of that, here's what to expect in the calls to action after the show. I don't have too much time before I need to get this episode out. It is late as it is, so we will keep it brief by only having our normal Patreon information as well as our patron thank yous after the show and how to get a hold of us online. Check the show notes for other shows on the network that I have had in producing as well. But that's about it. With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone. Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and this month we are covering RPGs that have a romantic theme to them, but also are geared towards either duo or solo play. This week, we are continuing the trend in duo RPGs with a letter-writing game called You Never Told Me by friend of the show and current guest co-host, Senda Linaugh. I am here with Senda again today to examine this game and create some characters together. Senda, welcome. Awesome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here again.
Yeah. I'm glad we could line this up again. I'm really excited to learn about that. This is our first letter writing game, I think, we have covered.
I really like them, which is, of course, why I wrote one.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept to have that asynchronous, like, solo play effectively, right?
Yep, partially solo play, but also, let's be real, like I think with part of my interest veering into LARP in recent years, letter writing is a way to also engage that without some of the run up for LARPing, because you can decide how committed you are, right? To the real world aspects of what you're doing versus like, you know, how you choose to communicate. So yeah.
Well,
we'll probably talk more about that as we go.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and get into this and start by discussing what this game is all about.
What's in a game?
Okay, Senda, what are the core concepts of You Never Told Me?
So this is one of those weird little games that happened because you saw a thing on the internet. Just to be clear, this game is 3 pages long at the moment. It is in beta. So we are going to do one little tweak in character creation even as we do it that I will hopefully catch up with and publish on the itch version for people later. But if not, you'll know, right? Like it's still kind of evolving, but it's definitely playable now.
Nice.
This game was inspired by a series of tweets that were interrogating the idea of being an immortal vampire who went to a museum and found, like, in a museum, a love letter to them from like 100 years ago or something, right? And like, how would you react to that? And there was a series of tweets about this from when Twitter was Twitter. And it was really interesting to me. And I was like, what would you do in that situation? And so I wrote a game. So that's the basic concept. The secondary part of this game is, as you said, it is a letter writing game. So epistolary. And it does mean that you can decide the speed at which you engage, the medium in which you engage, kind of all sorts of things about it. It is a much more both personal and then also shared experience because of the letter writing aspect.
Right.
So I guess I think that pretty much covers the core concepts. This is not a chunky game, so I don't know if there are a lot more concepts than that to cover.
Exactly. It's one of those micro games that gives you like a very narrow focus on these are your characters. This is the situation. Go.
Yeah, it's definitely a framework for telling a story together that gets you started and doesn't really, frankly, give you a lot of guidance past that point. So, I actually even wrote into like, how does the game end? Well, it ends when you either logically come to an end point, decide that you're done playing, or lose interest, right? Like it's going to end whenever you decide it ends.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this game, what sort of setting do you imagine these characters to be played in?
So I think that it's very flexible, right? The default with which the rules are kind of written is that you've got some sort of magic twining through, potentially invisibly, probably invisibly, through the world that we live in. But that means that you could still play kind of any point along the historical spectrum as long as there's a way that you can have been alive for a long time and accidentally run across a letter from this other person that is, from a time perspective, very separated from where you are now.
Right.
Yeah. That's
and
pretty
on
much
public display too, right?
Right, which makes it really interesting. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't play it like in the future, right?
Yeah.
Or that you couldn't play it in like a different setup of world, right? Any setting where you can justify the public display of a letter that
an ancient letter,
letter, right? Like something historical, you could play this game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what sort of tools do we need to play the game then?
This one is interesting because there is partially a conversation here about you and your fellow player, how you are choosing to approach the game. So for me, I personally, when I'm doing a letter writing game, I can get really obsessed with the minutia. And when I say that, I mean like sometimes I have sitting over here next to me, you can't see it, but I have, I have custom stationery. I have specific pens. I have wax seals that I have purchased for specific characters. Right?
That is
like,
a good detail.
You can do that, but you don't have to, right? Like I have also played this game where we negotiated that it was much easier to do it via email. Right. And that's fine. So part of the answer to this question is, how do you want to make that communication happen? My sort of baseline assumption would be you probably need stamps and envelopes and paper, but you don't have to. Maybe you just need access to an email address that you're going to use, or maybe you just are like using a shared Google Doc, writing back and forth.
Yeah.
What it comes down to is you have to have a medium in which you are choosing to share those letters back and forth. And whether the physical sending of a letter has meaning to you or excitement to you or not, that's your call.
Yeah. I can even imagine like utilizing Discord for this or something more real time potentially, but as long as you can go back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. You could really any way that you can have a back and forth. Since it's letters, right? Like it's just like some place where you can have chonky text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you send wax seals through the mail?
Oh, yes.
Wax sealed letters?
You should give me your address. I'll send you a Christmas card next year.
Oh, fantastic. I will do that.
And then you will get a wax seal on a letter.
That's so cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Interesting. So what sort of stories and themes then do you play in this game?
So it's definitely the interest that I had in this game originally was that concept of like, you might have had a spark with someone a long time ago, but like nothing kind of came of it. Right. So 100 years later or 500 years later, whatever, period of time, 50 years later, I don't know. You suddenly discover that it was mutual. Right.
Right.
How do you react to that? And the game is written around the presumption that you would act on it in some way, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that way is. And maybe that way is I'm mad at you for never telling me, or maybe that way is like trying to reach out and rekindle that flame. I think largely it's an exploration about relationships and the weird ways in which we communicate in them, particularly when you have that fear of sharing something, but it comes out later.
Yeah.
But like to the extreme later, right? Like
it's really like it's finding out as an adult that your high school crush also had a crush on you.
Right. Exactly. And like, what do you do with that?
Oh.
And it depends on where you are in your life and like what all is happening and stuff. But the game is written with the assumption that you are going to interact on that connection point in some way.
Yeah.
But whether that, ends up being good or bad, that's kind of like up to you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the theme. From there, I should say, because it is a framework to get you started and not necessarily an ongoing framework of play, it can grow into so many things, because now we're talking about two people reconnecting and recreating a relationship that previously existed, right?
Yeah.
Either positively or negatively, whatever that looks like. So I think it has a lot of room for expansion and just exploration about the ways that we communicate as people. And especially when you start considering as people who have maybe a wealth of experience that we as humans don't have, right? And how as an immortal who has that kind of perspective on experiences, how do you approach relationships?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, it being a letter back and forth writing game, what do the characters do in the game? Obviously, you're writing letters as your character to the other character and back and forth on that. But what are the limitations of what they can do in do they describe if the relationship were to evolve, can they describe, hey, this date that we just went on, it's fantastic? Or is it always at a distance until...
See, it's not prescribed in that sense, right? I'm not going to stop you as the author of the game.
That's interesting.
My vision for the game, I think you could totally do either of those things, honestly. My vision for the game was to manage any time the characters are kind of at a distance, right?
Right.
So there is, conversation why aren't we having this conversation in person, right? Figure that out. And that distance is probably something that would keep your characters from just walking down the street and being like, hey, let's go get dinner. Whatever that looks like. But maybe it's not. So then you just have to justify why you'd still be writing letters at that point.
Right.
I don't know. But maybe that's how the game ends, right? Now you're in the same place and you don't have to write letters anymore, right?
Exactly.
I don't know. And that's okay.
I like the malleability of that. That's very nice.
It's a little mushy.
Yeah, and that's fine. But you're also working on the time scale of immortals, right? So it's it could be 100 years between letters.
It could be, right? And that's part of what I like about that is that I put a note in here, right? Because I think a lot of folks sometimes in letter writing games, myself included sometimes, right? Even though I love them, there's a lot of pressure about time frame and responses and that kind of thing. And I wanted to just acknowledge that if you're immortal, then a month going by and not getting a letter is hours. Right? Yeah. So you can respond as fast or as slow as it makes sense for you and your life and just where you are and what's happening for you personally outside of the game. And that's not a problem. And we should just set that expectation up.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
I can easily see modifying it slightly to say hey, for every real life day that passes, a year will pass for our immortal characters, or 10 years or whatever, right? Right. So the longer you take to write a response letter, now you have to take all that time into account as well.
And it sounds like a lot of pressure, Wyatt.
It does. It does.
I mean, but that's the kind of thing you could totally decide on, right? With the person that you're writing with, because that would still be a cool twist. Yeah. Especially if you were doing digital, right? Because otherwise you have to account for like, it took 5 days for my letter to get to you. And now it took 5 years for my letter to get to you. Like,
that's very fair.
Yeah. So.
That's why you have to go based on the timestamps of the post office stamp.
Sure.
Good to go.
I mean, it would be easier to manage that one via email or Discord or something, instant communication, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. What is one of the most unique things you put into this game?
I think that's a really good question. I think that this game builds on a lot of the very simple micro games that are out there these days, and a lot of the epistolary games that I have already played. But I think it's a little looser maybe than some of them. So if you say like By the General's Hand, or I'm thinking of some other ones, a lot of them will give you prompts based on cards, which is probably useful to have a writing point, starting point. But I am, when we talk about, as we did at the very, very beginning, a little bit, letter writing as an opportunity to dabble in freeform kind of LARP, basically, without having to commit to costumes or anything of that, type. I am much more interested in Nordic style LARP, and this game maybe would be like letter writing from that perspective, right?
Right.
In a lot of ways, it's sort of a freeform journaling experience that is shared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense based on the material of the game. It's an interesting concept.
I don't know if that is truly unique, but it is definitely the take that I went with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the history of the game, when did you first start working on this? You said you came from a Twitter thread back when Twitter was Twitter.
I think I wrote this game in 2016, which is a little shocking to me.
9 years ago.
From the perspective that I still don't consider it to be, quote, done, unquote. I'm like, wow, I really haven't gone back and spent the time on this, have I? Has it really been that long? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So that's based on the dates of the last update on my computer file. It was 2016.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. There's a thing that happens for me when I write games, and I do tend to write silly little short games, right? Yeah. That may or may not have a lot of rules, because I am really into the concept of kind of getting something up and running and then just going with it and seeing what happens. And it's been very successful for me with my old game group, which is unfortunately lots of people moved away and it got challenging, right? But it was really successful for us a lot. And so in searching for that experience again, I think I write a lot of games that cater to that style of gaming.
Yeah.
So I think that this is right in line with all of those weird little short games that you can kind of play for as long as you want and don't have a lot of I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, but like they don't have a lot of mechanics. But they really want to get you started with an interesting starting point, and then it is up to you and your interest to continue to drive it. And if your interest fades, then cool, you're done.
Yeah.
Right. Like
who knows how many millennia will pass again between the next letters.
Right. I played a letter writing game in the middle of lockdown when my group could not get together. We had a 5 or 6 person letter writing game going on that was very cool and very complicated because we all had plots, but we could write different things to different people and not everyone was seeing all of this stuff because we were writing physical letters. Right?
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And it was very fun. And I think that experience and my obsession with that, definitely I was writing a lot of letters.
Yeah.
My experience with that definitely influenced me writing this game because I really enjoyed that. And that game that wasn't even really like a quote game, right? Like that was that group of people. We sat down and we were kind of like, we really want to keep playing something. We can't get together in person because, it was lockdown. And we decided that we were, basically in supernatural fantasy, like urban fantasy style thing. We were a bunch of monsters hiding among the normal contemporary civilians who normally met up for a monster convention every year, but we couldn't this year because of lockdown. So instead we were writing each other letters. So we all had weird monster personas. And then we were just like, and go, right? And we just wrote letters. And that was all there was to the game. But, it was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
And is why I started getting into things like custom stationery and stuff for characters. Yeah, it was good times.
It kind of feels like combining LARP with play by post.
Yeah, basically.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
And there are actual letter writing like LARPs out there that are being played by larger groups. They're certainly out there. So this is one of those games that definitely, like, if you're into TTRPGs and maybe like epistolary games, you'd be into this. And like if you're into LARPs, you might just play this as a letter writing LARP, right? And you could play that anywhere along the spectrum that you wanted to.
I would really need to practice my penmanship. Because it's been so long.
You can type them.
I know.
It's okay. Definitely folks were typing some. I was writing them because let me tell you about my character from that game just for a second. So
sure.
We're all playing monsters of different types, but I was a witch cat with a human girl familiar, but she was like 13. So I couldn't write the letters because I didn't have opposable thumbs. So the 13-year-old girl was writing the letters for me. So they were all like little hearts over the eyes and like...
That's so good.
It was really funny and very fun, right? And then
just
I would
getting
sign
really into it, right?
Right, and I would sign. I have the stamp around here somewhere, but I had a stamp of a cat's paw.
Oh,
so
beautiful!
I wouldn't instead of signing them, I would just put the cat paw
stamp. Just put a cat paw
at the bottom. Anyway,
that's so fun.
That experience, and then the Twitter thread led to this game. That's the history. Yeah,
absolutely. That's amazing. Now, I'm assuming there's not too much for terms and concepts that we need to know before we dive into character creation, right?
Not at all. I can't think of any.
All right. Well, do we want to go ahead and make some people?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's make some people.
Fantastic. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we should talk about lines and veils.
Yes.
Which is, one of my favorite things to do all the time, but I did write it on the game to make sure that you do. And there are some things that have the potential to come up in this game just because of the style of game that it is, right?
Sure.
And like your immortal creatures. This list is not exhaustive. Right. So we should not treat this as the only list of potential content warnings, but things that we might want to specifically discuss would be things like physical intimacy, death, intimate relationships, rejection, and depression. Right.
Right. I think if we were playing this for realsies, I think, because like rejection might take the fun out of it for me personally. Yeah. Not having rejection be a part of the game would make sense to me simply because, I want to play to fall in love.
Let me ask you a question. So from that perspective, we don't want to play current rejection. How do you feel about historical rejection?
I think historical is fine.
Yeah. So we could have had that kind of stuff in the past.
Yeah, I think historical rejection is perfectly okay. Because like, if it's like, one of us rejected the other back in the day, and now there's an opening for an actual romance, that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
I mean, so the reason death is on here is because we just live a lot longer than other people, right? So
Oh, yeah. So
there's
like
some stuff that I would normally line out maybe about death that like if you're going to live for 500 years, then I'm like, yeah, I think I'm okay with it from that perspective.
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
But like you're talking like friends and potential family along the
Yeah,
way,
right, like-
losses and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like that kind of stuff. I think I would prefer in playing this game that stuff be like off screen,
Yeah.
past, right? Like it makes
Mhm.
sense to me that someone who's lived that long has gone through some of that. But I would rather not deal with it in the current
Yeah.
moment. Like historical references, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting by someone's bedside in the hospital right
No.
now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's also a good call. I think depression has its place as well. If your character is going through some stuff and wants to
Yeah.
be opening that sort of vulnerability,
Yeah.
I think that can add a layer to the letter ready process.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with everything else. So
Okay.
Cool.
And this is written down, and I will say it here. If we were going to play this game for real, right? This is only the initial discussion, and our list of lines and veils can evolve as we continue to play this game.
right.
And my purpose with having lines and veils at the beginning is definitely both to make sure that you've had the initial conversation and then also to make sure that everybody knows going in, right? It's okay to add to this list, and it's okay to, as you approach something, say, like, if we do X, it's fine, but if let's not go into Y, right? Like,
Right.
so it's okay to evolve that, and it's okay to draw lines with more finesse as we continue
Mhm.
on, right?
That makes sense.
Cool. All right. Here's the part where I'm going to rearrange a little bit on you.
Sure.
Which I think from here, we should actually jump into, there's two sets of questions for our characters that we're creating. The first one is
Sure.
what makes you immortal? And the second one is what limitation does your immortal state impose on you? So I think we
Okay.
should start with what makes us immortal.
Yeah.
It does not need to be the same, right? We do not need to have the same cause of immortality.
Mhm.
We just need to both be immortal.
I like that.
Yeah. So there's a list. Do you want me to read out the list? There's a list of items, but you can always come up with your own.
Yeah, go ahead and read out the list, and then we'll see if any of them speak to either of us.
Right. Whatever calls out to you. So the first one is obviously the one inspired by the vampires, right? The blood of my sire burning through my undead veins.
Sure.
That's one.
Mhm.
A patron gave me immortality in exchange for something important.
Mhm.
That I will define. I am a symbiote who lives through many lives in shared bodies.
Mm-mm.
I was not born. I was created through deific power. That's like the Zeus, or however you want to interpret that.
Mhm.
Right? I am a great magician who tied my life force to an indestructible object, or
Mhm.
something else that you come up with. I feel like you could still come up with so many things more than that, but those are some ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's interesting. The symbiote was pre-Star Trek Senda, was it not?
Wow, I think it was actually, yes.
Yeah, because it's giving Dax vibes.
It is totally giving Dax vibes. Oh, you know what? I said 2016, but that's wrong. This is actually 2021. So I would have been,
Oh,
I think I lied.
that would have been
That makes a really big
post
difference.
Star Trek Senda.
It's only been 4 years that I've been ignoring this game.
That's
Not
much better.
9. That makes so much more sense.
Absolutely.
Where did I get 2016 from? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, but yes, no, this was mid Star Trek Senda.
Perfect. That makes a lot more sense. That's
Makes so much more
interesting.
sense. Yes.
I have an idea in mind for mine, but I'm curious
Yes.
if anything strikes your fancy,
Uh,
or do
I
you
have
want to
done-
play off of mine at all?
I would love to hear yours because I have done a bunch of these before.
Okay. I'm going to lean into my nonsense
Uh-huh.
and a take on the patron giving me immortality.
Yep.
In exchange for something important. My character a long time ago became an immortal magical girl.
Yep. I love it. Right. Well, so, and we can continue to ask questions about this, but I want to know two things about that.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, whatever the exchange was, right? I want to know what you gave. But secondly, are you like, what, as a magical girl, like, this is a magical girl specific question.
Yeah.
What age does it look like you are in perpetuity?
Like early to mid 20s.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. An appropriate age.
Appropriately adult, but
Yeah.
so you're not stuck at like 16 forever.
Correct.
Okay. That's what I needed to know.
Mm-hmm. And she, her pronouns.
Okay. We'll get to that part.
Okay.
Too. No, I mean, that's fine, actually. I'm pretty sure that's in here. Anyway, sorry, carrying on. Did you know we're playtesting right now?
I know.
It's fun like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what did you have to give in exchange for the immortality?
I think basically my like a normal life, right?
Yeah.
Because I need to effectively be on call against the forces of, evil and whatnot, protect the world from devastation so we can unite all peoples within our nation.
Is there any way that your immortality can end?
Gosh, can it be taken away once granted?
Yeah. Or is there still a way to like, is there an Achilles heel here? Or is it just forever? Heat death of the universe and you're still here.
I think I can still technically die, but like I'm going to go with the whole reincarnation, magical reincarnation stuff happens. Sure. And I have to rediscover myself once I come of age.
Every time. Oh, no.
But only if I die. And then once I rediscover myself, I get all my memories back.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be really interesting, but I'm going to hold off on asking you more questions because we'll save them for later.
We're going full magical girl nonsense here.
I love it. Okay, what goes with a magical girl then is my question. Interesting. I feel like I don't want to go vampiric, although that could be interesting. I think I'm going to go with I should say I'm torn, I think, between I was not born, I was created through deific power.
Ooh.
Or I'm a great magician who tied my life force to an indestructible object.
Yeah.
Is there one of those that seems more interesting to play magical girls with? Because I am definitely warping this in genre-wise now. I'm like,
I'm very curious, like what the initial like catalyst of our relationship was.
Right?
Is this a rivals to lovers story? Were you a villain of the week effectively, or, over the arc of the first season sort of deal? Or
I love that so much. And now I'm like, oh, which one of these two things is better for that? I think I'm going to go with a great magician who tied my life force to an indestructible object.
Oh.
Because then that's something that I could like do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more agency than just being created.
Yeah.
Like springing forth from someone's forehead fully formed.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And I think I might continue to define that object as we go.
Okay.
To figure out what it is as we continue to have this conversation. But I'll be thinking about it. Yeah. Cool. So what limitation does your immortal state impose on you? And these, I just have some examples. Again, you can kind of say anything you want. You could always come up with one. But some of the ones that I have written down is I cannot be exposed to a specific common condition like sunlight, right? For example, I am geographically bound. I can't leave a certain area. I cannot move across moving water. I have another form that I cannot always resist. I share this immortal form with my twin. Only one of us can be here at a time. If a mortal uses the phrase "I wish" within my hearing, I must make it so. That is a specific call out to a different game that I played with a friend. But anyway, or something else that you come up with.
Yeah. Very Jin adjacent on that one.
It was a what was it? It was a monster of the week. No, it must have been. Yeah, it was a monster of the week or Monster Hearts. I think it must have been Monster Hearts. We were playing a Monster Hearts game. He was playing a Jin.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
But he didn't tell me that, so I every now and then accidentally said I wish.
Yeah. So I think my limitation is that whole if I die, it takes me 20 years to at least to regain my memories.
Do you also have a limitation in terms of if something happens, you must respond to it, right?
Yeah.
You're a magical girl. If your city or area or whatever gets attacked, you have magical homing beacon and you have to respond to it. You can't ignore it.
Yeah, I think if it's it's effectively the patron that gave me these powers would kind of have the sight of all things going wrong and alert me to the stuff I need to intervene with.
Yeah.
But they aren't able to directly intervene with the world for whatever reason.
Yes, they have to do it with you. So you have to respond when they ping you, basically.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of I was the only one that they had the energy to reach through to back in the day.
Right.
And so I'm this solo magical girl destined to protect everything that's possible.
Everything forever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's you. That sounds horrible.
It's kind of tragic, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And to do so without a partner.
You don't even have a team or anything. Just you could build teams, but in the end, you're always going to be alone again because you're the immortal one. Woof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Gosh, that would be both exciting and tragic.
Yes.
And the thought of getting to this point again, getting to this point and knowing that I have a potential for a romantic partner to finally share life with.
Yeah.
Would be very invigorating. So I like that a lot.
That's cool. Okay, so based on your character and me also having magical girl nonsense in my past and interests, I am going to choose. I have another form that I cannot always resist because I think that if we end up in the same place as a connected immortal duo, that you probably need an adorable animal sidekick.
Ooh.
I think that's the logical thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my default would be cat, but I'm not glued to that. Do you have a preference for immortal, adorable animal sidekick?
Gosh, I mean, cat is kind of a good classic one, but also cute, but cat-like, like a ferret would be fun. Or
ferret would also be fun, yeah.
Yeah, because you're a little bit more agile and climby and stuff like that.
I like ferret. Right? I'm going to put ferret. Cool. And then the other question that I have to answer with that is, what forces me to change? Which I think is very interesting, right? Because this will kind of dictate how much time I spend as a human versus a ferret.
Yeah.
And it could be something like that's triggered in the world around me, but it might be just like the weather, right? I don't know.
Yeah. Do I know of this transformation? Do you know?
Do I know that I do transform? I feel like this is probably something that I did to myself by accident.
Okay.
Right? And maybe it's part of like whatever I used to make myself immortal. Maybe this is like a side effect of that spell that I didn't anticipate. And like I didn't do it perfectly. So this is what happens because of that one thing that I kind of goofed up. Which makes me think that maybe the indestructible item that I've tied my life force to is something ferret related.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure what it would be.
Yeah.
But like, that's cool. Like maybe it's, this particular concept tends to lend itself to, kind of a phylactery kind of conversation, right? But maybe it's like, a ferret skull like dipped in iron or something along those lines.
Oh, interesting. But like super indestructible via magic and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, just magic the rest of it for the indestructibility.
So I'm trying to, I got a couple thoughts in my brain that would make things much more complicated.
Oh, no.
I can throw things out because I know you like complicated.
Uh-huh.
Okay. My transformation brooch as a potential object, somehow you got bound to that.
I love that
through the evil magicians
so much.
Yeah, because if I destroy my brooch somehow, even though it's indestructible, as the only way to get rid of you, that would be the perfect ploy by the big bad endgame, like.
Right. But also
magician.
if I was originally evil and I was like trying to make it so that I was maybe stealing your power or something.
Yeah.
To like to run my giant spell of immortality, maybe I would have tapped your locket like your brooch.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting tied to it.
I like that.
I like that too. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And do like this transformation into ferret, right?
Oh, yes. So here's my temptation. Let me see if this is what you were going to say. Yeah. So then my temptation is I can't control the transformation. Whenever you transform, I transform.
Oh.
Even though I'm somewhere totally else. Right? And I have no idea that it's going to happen. And it could happen at any time because whenever you get called away to a job that you have to do, right? Because you are bound to perform as a magical girl. So you go off and transform. I'm like at the grocery store and suddenly I'm a ferret.
I do like that. However, I also want to be open to the prospect of us having fought in the past as our like magical girl human self. Because there has to be that opening of like, we've clashed so many times.
Yes,
that we like started liking when we got to clash.
Yes.
Right?
Enemies to lovers. I love this trope. Yes, that also makes sense. So maybe it has more to do with, okay, are you the kind of magical girl that is associated with planets, for example? Or are you associated with something else as a, like, theme?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess something maybe cosmic level, right?
Sure.
Like
that makes sense because immortal. Yeah.
So like it's the immortality and the patron is beyond like direct intervention.
Sure.
So like cosmic level instead of like local planets sort of level makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So is there something that like just like space wise could be happening at a cosmic level that might be connected to your brooch that would then cause my transformations?
Oh yeah. Like if there's like a little beacon of sorts or something
or
out
like I don't know. I'm like, I'm searching my space knowledge and I'm not coming up with anything, but I really like the idea that whatever transforms me is somehow connected through your brooch to maybe your patron.
Yeah. What if it's like black hole mergers?
Ooh, I like it.
Creating like cosmic level gravity waves.
Yes, let's just put cosmic gravity waves because we can then do that whenever we want, right? Like that's
exactly. But I like the thought that it's like rare enough where like it never happens when we're in the same space together. Like the proximity protects you from transforming one way or the other.
Yeah.
But like if we're apart, then that transformation can just happen when it happens. Yeah. And I really like the thought of like me finding you as a ferret and you having no memory of us being like enemies of sorts or whatever. But
do you think that as a ferret, I don't have like, I don't know. So I'm working on the assumption.
Like what do you want?
Like that in a very magical girl way that like the human and the animal forms share the same personality and memories.
Okay.
But we could do that differently.
I'm very curious. Like, do I see you as an animal companion? Like, and then not even know at all that you're also my greatest rival /
Oh my God. Right. But I would totally do that intentionally, right? I don't have to forget. I could just be like, oh, let's get some secrets.
The guilt of that over the centuries.
Oh my God. Right. Because how else do you fall in love? Right.
Yeah. And what if you're the one that always brings me back?
That reminds you who you are because I want to. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. I love that. I love that so much because it's both cruel of me because then you're stuck in the immortal loop again, but then I'm not alone.
Right.
Right.
I am here for the juicy drama.
I am here for the juicy drama also, and I'm so excited about this. So at some point, though, we got separated, right? Like, so, but there must have been a period of time in which I was basically functionally, because if I was ferret and then within your proximity, then I would not have changed back to a human.
Yeah.
So we probably have done several cycles like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay. That's wild.
All right. Are we ready for our next questions?
Yes, please.
Okay. These are the how old are you questions.
Sure.
I have some, again, just ideas. I will read them off to you. You can always decide something on your own, right? Mm-hmm. So the ideas are, not even I remember my beginning. Mm-hmm. I remember Florence when it was the center of the Renaissance. I remember when the Roman Empire split. I remember Uruk when it was the greatest city in the world. I remember when the pyramids were built. I remember the first Olympics. I remember the founding of, oh no, I never thought I was going to read this out loud. Hang on. The founding of Tenochtitlan. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
We're going to go with it. I remember when we defeated the Khmu. I remember the building of the Taj Mahal. I fought in the American Civil War, or a time that I will name myself.
That's interesting. Do we want to be, I mean, we'd have to be almost roughly the same age if your immortality is linked to my brooch.
Oh, that's really true. I definitely couldn't exist before you.
Yeah.
And like normally with something like this, I might be going a little bit more alchemical and be leaning towards Florence and the Renaissance, but like we're really talking like some magical girl like nonsense here, so it really doesn't need to be, right?
Right.
So I guess it is just a question of, I think for me, I have to make you answer first.
Yeah.
Because I am dependent on your brooch.
Because you could at the very least be the same age as me or much younger.
Yes, exactly.
So I want to, how tortured do I want my character to be? Probably very. So,
good answer.
I'm going to go with the pyramids.
Okay.
I remember
Cool.
the pyramids being built.
Okay. I think so. I don't know if I really even need to choose one of these specifically in this exact scenario, because I think where I am is like you lived like 2 or 3 lifetimes, which your lifetimes are pretty long, right?
Yeah.
But I think that you've gone through your rebirth cycle 2 or 3 times before I came onto the scene.
Yeah.
So that you have some time to know exactly how lonely that is.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Because like, I'm imagining that the big bad person that we're fighting, that I'm fighting against, has like first defeated me and like, okay, now I did it. Now I get to enact my plan, and it takes a while to enact their plan. And then 20 years later, I come back and thwart that plan.
Thwart it again.
And then they have to start at square one once again, because I can't kill them. They find out they can't kill me.
Permanent gridlock. For all eternity. Oh my God. Woof. Yes. I feel like, so I'm just going to add this in, but I feel like my character originally was working for this big bad power, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's how they found out about you. And probably about the magic in the brooch to be able to try and do something with a spell with that. That like something was whispering in their ear that this is where you get the power from, right? To perform a spell of that magnitude. Yup. Okay.
Wow.
I love it. So interesting.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay. Are we ready to name our characters and give them pronouns?
Absolutely.
You already said she, her, so that's easy.
I did.
I think my character is also going to go she, her.
Fantastic.
There is a list of potential names on this sheet, but of course you can pick anything you want.
Yeah. I said cosmic level, and I see Andromeda is a name on this list, which would be very fitting.
I agree.
I think I'm going to go with that. Andromeda.
Nice. I think so. Let's see.
Which is my true name. I have gone by many names when I was born.
Many names. Every life you have a different name, but the name of the immortal, consistently reborn magical girl soul is Andromeda. Amazing. I think I'm just going to be easy and go Genevieve.
Nice.
Because that was the name that I actually was given, right? And then have kept.
I like that a lot.
Cool. What do you call me when I'm your animal companion ferret?
Oh.
Because it might not be Genevieve, because if you don't know, it's me.
No, that's interesting. Do you talk as a ferret?
Oh, God. I think I must talk as a ferret. Mustn't I?
Yeah.
No. Ooh, I think I must.
I like the thought of you having to talk, or being able to talk at least as a ferret.
I got to be able to tell lies for a while until they become not lies. Yikes.
Gosh. Did you give me a name?
Yeah, so then I would have given it to you if I could talk.
So would it have been like
Lady Fuzzford? No. Let's see. Okay, cosmic. All I can come up with right now is Galactica, and I don't think that that's it.
No.
That's not it.
I was thinking opposite of cosmic, and you have gene in your name, like genetics.
Yeah.
What if it was like helixia or something like that?
I like that. Yep. Let's
about the double helix of the DNA, because that's like the dichotomous big and small.
I love that. I mean, yeah, we'll do helixia is what you called the ferret.
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously like Genevieve. And also I feel like my evil villain name then was like, oh no, names are so hard. Okay, I'll come up with that later.
3 of them. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I give myself 3. I'll come up with the evil villain name later.
I mean, it could also just be Genevieve, right?
It could be Genevieve, but
because you could just live your truth, right?
Yeah, I could just live. Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna do that.
Live your truth somewhere in your life.
Somewhere. Ouch. But like, I think we must have had confrontations, and then I did the spell, and then your animal companion showed up. Yeah.
That's so good.
Oh my God. Okay. Neat. So our next question. What is the present time for our game? What is the now that we are writing letters in?
It's got to be like present day anime, right?
Yeah, I think just contemporary makes sense.
Yeah.
For that one.
It's like college.
Sure.
Like I'm picturing college. I'm a college student.
You're back in college because you're now like mid-20s, early 20s again, because you just. So how long have you remembered again who you are?
I'm gonna say like just a year or 2.
Yeah.
So like I have to go through college because I'm already signed up for it, but like I already have all this knowledge from the past. So I'm like breezing through courses.
Just like whatever, I've already done this so many times.
Wow, you're getting much better like over the last couple of years at your grades and everything. What's going on?
Just like you don't even study.
Right. I go off on study retreats practically every night.
Well, you're really, really good at this whole like pyramids, ancient Egypt section. How'd you know so much about this? Telling the teacher they're wrong.
Well, that's not how that happened.
Amazing. Okay. Cool. Then the next question is, who wrote the letter that we're going to start this game with? Was it you or was it me?
I think it's more interesting if it was you.
I think it's interesting if it was me also. And then the question is, before we get to when, was it me, quote, Helixia, or was it me, Genevieve, that wrote the letter? And I'm tempted to say Genevieve.
Yeah, I'm also tempted to say Genevieve.
Okay. I think Genevieve. Okay.
Because that makes a lot more dramatic sense.
Yes. Okay. And when did I write it? So setting that initial letter in a time period itself.
I'm thinking, like Renaissance?
Sure. I like that. I'm having visions of you as a magical girl in the Renaissance, and I love that so much. Like, what does that look like? Oh, it's so cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that. That's awesome. And before we get to the next one, just because, and this is a question I'm going to ask because of the magical girl twist that we've taken on this and some of the weird turns that we've taken. So we must now be separated, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't have written you a letter.
Yeah.
So, or maybe Genevieve would have written you a letter and Helixia's around. That's also complicated, isn't it?
Right. Well, I like the thought of it was a do not send letter.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's exactly what it was, right?
Like I wrote a letter to you and with no intentions of ever sending it. I just needed my feelings out. And then it was found in like a cache of art or something like that.
Right. It was like, they found a thing in Florence or wherever, right?
Yeah.
And it's this letter, and it's on display at a museum as like, look at this beautiful love letter from the Renaissance, like displayed next to some art, and I love that. I love that so much.
It's so good.
What shared experience inspired the letter? I am going to jump in and say I feel like then I probably would have written this after one of our fights, right? Like that, like going head to head with you inspired me to write this letter about like how it's the most invigorating, like living experience that I have these days after now that we've both been alive for way too long. Right?
Right. What if we add to that, like there was a moment during the fight where I saved you from certain death effectively.
I love that.
And then like we had that moment of connection and then continued our fight without saying much after that.
Right. Or sort of half continued the fight and then like I just was like, you can't get me, and then just like ran away or something, right? Like, can't deal with this emotionally.
Yeah, but like that moment of like the close-ups of each of our eyes, that anime moment of our hands clasped and like
a
just
little
the
bit of
heartbeat
blush,
is all you can.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Ooh.
I love it so much. Okay, so that'll be the starting point for the first letter, the one that is in the museum.
Yeah.
Right. What is our strongest shared memory? And the answer might be the same, but
might be
just based on that description. But
yeah, gosh, it feels like that would be something that would be cemented in the positive. But is there a stronger like antagonistic memory that we might have?
What I wonder, so when I cast the spell that ended up tying me to your brooch, I wonder if like that seems like it would require, I mean, maybe I could do it without it being present or whatever, but like it might have required me to like catch you in some sort of magical circle so that you were present and part of the spell casting against your will, probably.
Right.
Right. Like to do that. And that might be not a great. That would be early, like very enemies moment.
What if it was a memory of when you successfully killed me?
Oh, I really like that, actually. Yeah. Oh my God. So, and your memory of that is, of course, you being killed. And my memory of that is me killing you and then like holding your body and sobbing over it.
Post-Renaissance.
Yeah.
Victorian.
Okay, Victorian,
Victorian murder of Andromeda.
I love that. And then spending like the next 15 to 20 years trying to figure out who you've been reincarnated as. That's good. Oh, man. Okay. Cool. Have we spoken since then?
Whoa.
Right.
I'm so tempted to say no.
I know, me too. That's fine. We have not. Yeah.
We have not. You found me. You got my memories back.
Yep.
But then you left me alone.
Right. Okay. So I'm not even there as Helixia.
Right.
Yes, that makes sense because we need to write letters.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, the guilt.
So it's been a while because we're talking Victorian. So, because that's the other part of that question is how long has it been? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, because what is that? 18?
In mid 1800s, right? Yeah.
Usually in this game, I end up Googling a bunch of stuff.
Maybe 150 to 180 years ago.
Yeah, perfect. So it's been a while.
Yeah. I don't think I've died since.
Except you must have died since because now you're only in your 20s again going back to college.
That's true. I died once, I think.
That's the only time you've died since.
Yeah. Which was like, probably 22 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Whew.
Okay.
The stakes are high.
The stakes are getting higher, and I love that. Awesome. So then the next questions are about The letter parts themselves, now that we have a reasonably good idea of who we are and why we have a connection to each other. So the first part being for me as the letter writer.
Yeah.
So let's just go through them, and I'm going to get your input on these too, because I'm not always good at answering them by myself, and because we should always answer this kind of thing together as we're, group world building. So the first question is, why did you write the letter? And I think we actually already answered this question. I think I wrote this letter because I realized that I was heartbroken after killing you, and finally succeeding at my goal was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Was the letter post-killing or post-moment in the Renaissance?
Oh, right.
Because I think it's almost more interesting pre-killing.
Pre-killing, interesting.
Like, because knowing that you were feeling that,
and
you still killed me,
went through with it,
and how accidental it might have been, or like you weren't.
Or I didn't think it was real. I was like, well, I have to be evil, and I've shed these feelings. So now I've succeeded. I wrote them down to get the feelings out on paper because I needed to leave them behind.
Yeah.
Right. Because I have a commitment to big, bad, dark power.
Did it work?
No, obviously not. But I convinced myself for a while there that it worked. For a couple hundred years that it worked until I actually succeeded at killing you, which proved to me that it didn't. But because of that, because of accidentally killing you, I've been trying not to engage you in any kind of fight ever since then. Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, yes. Why didn't I give it to you? Because then you would have known.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not want you to know that.
No.
Cool. What are your feelings for them now? I'm still absolutely in love with you and trying not to engage you in case I hurt you again. That's which is why
these tragic.
Oh my God. Because I'm in this situation where I'm like ripped between like this, some sort of loyalty commitment to this other power, right? There's either something I believe in that they're trying to do, or like they have some sort of hold on me, which I'm tempted to say they have some sort of hold on me at this point.
Can they take your immortality away?
Right. Honestly, I don't feel like they can because it's tied to you. But I think they can do something else.
Yeah.
Right? I think, bear with me. I almost think that I have stayed with them at this point because, well, gosh, there's so many directions we should go, right? Here's two. Tell me if you like either of these, or if they make more brainstorm happen for you. One of them would be I stayed because as long as I'm their point person in terms of actual confrontation, then I can try to avoid confrontation with you.
Right.
And maybe they've just recently given up on me on that, and that's why you died again. Right? Because for a couple hundred years, it was me, and then they were finally like, you are terrible. You are the worst minion ever. I'm sending these other people. And I was like, no. Right? But that doesn't necessarily give me a reason to stay now. So there's that idea. But also, maybe there's something like, okay, let's just make this even more tragic. Let me just go with it. And I'll say a bunch of things and then you tell me what you think.
I also have a thought, but I want to hear.
Okay, what if they hold my memories of my original family, and if I leave, then they just crush them? What was your thought?
My thought was they have no sway over you. And so you figured that out, and you, for the past 150 years, have been fighting secretly against what they were trying to send my way.
Yeah, let's do that. But without telling you, because you obviously hate me. I can't let you know.
Right.
Yeah. Because communication is not for the immortal, apparently. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. Cool. So I've been kind of the spy on the inside then.
Yeah. Have you been subtly foiling the plans?
I think I've been pretending that I'm still loyal, right? but like specifically screwing things up because I did so much. Like, I think when I killed you the last time, that elevated me so much in their opinion.
Yeah.
That I became like the general or whatever. And now I've been using that power to like quietly screw things up for a couple hundred years.
That's so good.
Yeah. Okay.
You got a promotion and you're utilizing it.
I got a promotion and I'm using it to try and make sure you don't die again. But then you did, and now I'm heartbroken again, right?
Yeah, because they finally found out.
I think they did finally find out. Yeah.
And without telling you one of the plans they were enacting, they gave you a dummy plan to do stuff with. And you were like, I can meddle with this.
Meddle with this one. And then they sent someone else out who got you. And now I'm like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, that's very good.
Okay, good. Okay, what is my current life like? So then, in a very magical girl way, like I must live a mundane life and then also a super evil secret villain life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think my mundane life is very boring, except that there's these gravity waves that sometimes turn me into a ferret. Right?
Uh-huh.
And when I'm not anywhere near you, which I haven't been for several hundred years.
Right.
They're very unpredictable to me, right?
Right.
Because I don't know that they're coming.
Does your character know my character's mundane identity? I mean, you must, since you
I think,
are...
Yeah, I must in the cycles that I become involved with, right?
Yeah. Because like you're usually the one as the ferret to usher my powers back.
You. Yes.
So you must know my identity each time.
Yeah, so there's got to be a way, and it's probably part of the big bad's like technology that they have a way to identify you. Yeah. Because their goal is probably to stop you before you awaken again.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal is always to make sure you awaken before they can get you.
Yeah.
But it means that those two things happen pretty closely together, which aligns with the magical girl experience, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, guess what? You're a magical girl. Oh, look, you're under attack. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, yep. Like
that's
that.
Very good. That is very good.
Yep. I think maybe the big bad does not know that I turn into a ferret.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think they do. I think that's a secret. I think that's a secret that only I know because nobody else knows that happens. Okay.
I like that. I like the thought of it like when it happens, like, you know how there's the plausible deniability from regular citizens in most magical girl anime where it's just like all this wild stuff happens and the next day they're like, life is normal.
Everything is fine.
I like that on a localized level when you transform. So you can transform in the middle of your day job, in the middle of the supermarket. And,
and people are just like, oh, so-and-so must have gone home sick or whatever, right? Like, little ferret scurries out the door behind them, right? Yeah.
Is the ferret like, has one of those like, the only thing I can think of is like Doctor Who and the like, you can't ever see the phone booth as more than just a phone booth unless you're in the know. Is the ferret like that where it's people, their perceptions of reality are altered and it's like you don't notice or care that there's a ferret running around until it starts interacting with you?
Probably yes. Like it's just sort of like in the background.
Yeah.
But it's really annoying for me to be in the middle of something and then suddenly not have opposable thumbs. Right? Like, yeah.
Darn it. My food's going to go bad again.
Like, I was in the middle of cooking dinner. Now I can't take the pan off the stove. Like,
yep. That's amazing. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I think that's fun. Or it's like I work from home because many people work from home, myself included. And suddenly I go from like typing on a keyboard to like one letter at a time with a paw. Like, oh my God. Yeah.
You're on a Zoom call. You have to like tiny hands look for the go away button.
Like tiny hands, turn off the camera, turn off the camera.
You got like a panic button for the internet. Oh, looks like your internet went down again.
Yeah, sorry, it's really unreliable.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, is there anything else important about my character? I can't think of anything right now. I think we have done a lot. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of who she is.
Yeah. Have you been keeping like a tangential eye on me?
Oh, a tangential eye on you. Yes. But like, I also think because I'm connected to your brooch that like there are certain things that I can actually sense about like what's going on as soon as you have the brooch, right?
Yeah.
Which you must... Do you like manifest it when you realize that you're a magical girl? There's no way I'm keeping it for you in a standard cute little creature way.
Yeah, I think it manifests.
Yeah.
Because like upon my death, it like dissolves away from reality.
Right.
And blows in the wind. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sparkles blowing away in the wind. Yes. Perfect.
Very dramatic music playing each time.
Yes.
And then when it comes back, it's that in reverse. And then the realization hits.
I love it.
Yeah.
So much.
I
can talk you through like what you need to know to resummon it. And then I'm like, yes, she's back. Okay. Perfect.
That's so good.
Neat. The next questions are for you.
Yeah.
The letter reader. Where did you read the letter? Where did you find it?
I want to say it was in a Renaissance exhibit. Let's just go international in the Louvre in Paris.
Sure. I mean, you're in college, right? So are you doing a semester abroad?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, I have some fond memories from the Renaissance for some reason. Let's go check it out.
Okay.
That was how I awoke.
Oh, this time that's how you awoke, was reading the letter?
Reading the letter triggered the awakening.
Sure.
That's why you didn't usher me in this time.
Oh, that's
you did by proxy.
Yes, accidentally. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I love that. How do you feel about how did you feel about Genevieve before? And how do you feel about them now? Has that changed having read the letter?
Oh my gosh. I think like all of that happens in an instant, right?
Yes.
Because not only do
the memories,
I remember
everything.
you from the thousands or hundreds of years that we've interacted. Like I also remember you killing me as the last thing we've done together.
Yes. Yikes.
So like
no.
So this swirl of like joy of remembering you specifically gets mixed in with a feeling of betrayal, which gets mixed in with rereading the letter.
Yeah.
And like just being confused.
Let me ask you something about our strongest memory together. Did you die? Did you just die immediately? Or do you remember, like, do you have a, like, as you died, me holding you in my arms crying memory? Like, did that part, when did you die in that scene?
Okay, so my thought was dramatic sword fight.
Yes.
Through the heart.
God, yes. Yeah.
Close quarters.
Yep.
And like you basically being right there.
Yeah. Like catching you and lowering you to the floor with my sword still through you.
Yes. Yeah. And my last moments in that lifetime were like looking up into your eyes, both in shock.
Yeah.
But also knowing that I will be back.
Yeah.
And like, I think she was filled with kind of like I'll see you next time sort of feels to like a long goodbye.
Right. Okay.
but like in a much more dramatic sense.
Right. So, I mean, I think there's a little bit of mixed in like, and you were crying as I died. Kind of.
Oh, yeah. There was definitely
Yeah.
like I couldn't talk, silent
Yes.
tears streaming
but
down.
also me.
And,
right?
and I think I'm mistaken whether or not I saw your tears or thought they were mine, or if they were like sweat or whatever, like
or something. Yeah.
Like, because I knew how I felt about you before that happened, right?
Yes.
Like there was that intense, like love and need to be in one other's company, even if we were antagonistic about it.
Yeah. Cool.
Last memory.
Yeah.
A hand reaching up shakily on your cheek.
Yeah.
Before I completely lost out. Right.
Which is when that like happened, if we watch it from the outside, is the moment of like Genevieve doing the like, no, and like the camera pans up right to the sky, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So good.
Okay. Have your feelings about me changed having read the letter, or is it just that's where we're hitting confusion now because there's such an influx of just like what the heck?
I think it's just a massive amount of confusion, but like a little bit of hope as well.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
What is your current life like? I think we've addressed some of this, right?
Mm-hmm. College student, right?
Yep. Semester abroad.
Semester abroad, which caused me to find this letter.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year after this letter is when I finally got my stuff together to write back effectively.
Nice. Okay.
And I think I'm just normal college student, international studies or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And probably like an art degree is what I'm going to go with at that point.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's only one more question left in character creation, which is there anything else important that we need to know about your character?
She's really cool.
She's really
like
cool.
Swords. When we established swords, like this is like thirsty sword lesbian written all over it.
I know. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Here for it.
Mm-hmm.
To be clear.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So if we were going to play this game from here, the last piece is actually just to review our lines and veils and make sure that in the construction of our characters, we haven't introduced anything else that we need to zero in on or get specific about.
Yeah.
I'm cool for me with where this all lands. I'm very excited
100%.
about it. Are you sure you don't want to write some letters, Ryan? Because I read some letters.
We might have to at this point.
Right?
This is really good. Like I want this magical girl thing to be something I can watch and consume. Because my goodness.
Cool.
Whew.
That's it.
Amazing. Well, let's go ahead and dive into a quick discussion and get some D20s for your thoughts.
D20 for your thoughts?
Sure. Do you want me to read Amelia's parts? It's weird because I'm also the game designer host.
I know that is true.
Episode. How would you like to do it?
It's I think we can just kind of have like an open discussion about this. I mean, like the first question's about the character sheets, of which
there are none.
There are none. It's very free form. Like just write some notes down, right?
Yeah, you just need to write down your notes so that you know what you're doing. Maybe I should make character sheets for this game. Like that's totally a thing that I could do in the future. Mm-hmm. I have not done it as of this point, but
Yeah, it would be a nice little guide for the questions that you have there and everything. And I think it would lay things out.
But I think as you just experienced, and every time I have done this with someone, the questions tend to inspire a lot more answer than just the answer to the question, right? Which makes it hard to say, put your answer here in a little box, because what we actually did was, answer like, I don't know, 10 questions each or something, which evolved this really deep backstory.
Yeah.
And that's not, I wouldn't say that's an isolated experience for me. That's what's happened every time I've done this with someone, which is why I really enjoy it.
It certainly feels like it's a game that is ripe for having that shared narrative control with one another.
Yeah, the goal is very much to give you so much kind of shared background and then emotional energy that you go into writing letters, and you don't really need a format for it from that point.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. How do we like the character creation in this game versus other ones that we've made characters for?
I mean, I feel like I'm really biased. I love doing characters by questions.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I wrote it like that. I don't know. What did you think? This is playtesting feedback for me now.
Yeah. Because it gives me very Eye of the High Ground vibes in a way.
Yeah.
Just because the direction that we went in.
Yeah. That's because we were very like enemies to lovers on this one. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. But I can still see kind of a similar vibe of building the characters together and vibing off of one another, and like the characters kind of meshing with one another's immortalities and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I really do like how it's effectively like the questionnaires from Dread, and I utilized that for my Immortals game as well. The Dreaded Reflections of the Immortal Soul, which is just a super pedantic title to say you're playing Highlanders.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
And you use a Jenga tower. But the questionnaire format is fantastic, and I think it really opens things for creativity.
Yeah. And every time I have run through this character creation as a playtest, it has resulted in very different sets of people that I am very excited to find out what happens for them. And like I said, ours was very enemies to lovers. The other times I've done it, it hasn't gone that way, but like it works both ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there is a certain inevitability that these end up being somewhat tragic characters just because of the immortality, right? Like from our perception as mortals, like the things that you go through when you just live through multiple lifetimes or, tens or 20s of lifetimes feel very tragic from where we're sitting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and plus you have to have a period of separation, right?
Yeah.
And it's the whole, like, why didn't you tell me? The whole name of the game.
Yes. You never told me. Like, why didn't you tell me? Yeah. That's sort of the key question. It sets up that tragedy. Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah.
And going through that, knowing that that's kind of where we needed to end up is like, I can't imagine a scenario that you go through with these character creation that doesn't end up in like, I'm excited to get these two together.
Yes.
Right.
Which is definitely my direction. Like, I think you could play this game and decide that you're going to just be friends and never see each other again or whatever.
Right.
But it's not sort of the direction that I feel like the questions are pushing in.
Right. Because immortality ultimately leads to loneliness.
Exactly.
And the only cure for that is experiencing it with another immortal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so good.
Cool. I don't know. Do you want to figure out how this story would play out for our characters?
Gosh, I mean, I would love to play this with you.
I would love to actually play it.
Yeah, I think so. Like I guess hopes and wishes sort of conversation here then, right? Like the whole cadence of the game is going back and forth, right? I'm assuming I am the first one to respond to your written letter in the beginning, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that is the interesting thing. And it's a little bit funky, which is that the person who sees the original letter is the first person to write a letter.
Yeah.
And you don't actually write that original letter. So that you, as a player, have the freedom to respond to whatever you imagine that letter to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very good. I think, I think Andromeda would be like, she waited a whole year to respond.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it took her that long to find you, or maybe it took her that long to get the courage to write back.
With that swirl of emotions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of both.
Yes.
Like, first I have to find her, then I have to get the courage to actually send a letter.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I have in the game to help you write that first letter is just from a character's perspective. What outcome would you like to have from the contact, right? Like, are you just going to reach out and reinitiate? Are you reaching out to be like, hi, I love you? Like, what do you want from the other player when you do it?
Right. That's interesting. I think it's like, in this case, I think it's a forgiveness letter.
Oh my God, my heart. Like, I forgive you for killing me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Yeah, that's really good.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I think that would spark off a good back and forth.
I think it really, really would. Yeah, I think that would be a fantastic place to start. For sure.
Oh my gosh. These two.
I love them.
Huh?
Oh, the babies. I keep calling them babies, but they're obviously not.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just immortal babies.
Just immortal babies.
Uh-huh. Whew. I mean, this is usually the part where we say, let's take it up a level and figure out character advancement and narrative advancement and stuff like that. But like, my gosh.
Take it up a level. Take it up a level.
There's not really any to be had in this game. And to be realistic, it's 4 pages.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of mechanics there. It is a character creation exercise to drive a letter writing campaign.
Yeah, I would say there's no real mechanics at that point, right?
There aren't any.
There's no randomness. You don't have scenario cards or anything like that. It's very open-ended. Yeah. So the evolution is what you make of it.
It is exactly what you make of it. And I think it's a game driven by negotiation and just collaboration. So as long as you're doing that, go wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whew. Oh gosh, I wanna play this really bad, and
I'm really glad. Perfect.
Maybe let's chat at some point and see if we can set that up. I think that would be fun.
I think it would be awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, Senda, this has been an absolute blast. This game is phenomenal. For as small as it is, it really kind of triggers a lot of creative thought processes, which is wonderful.
Thank you. I'm bad at accepting compliments, but I'm very flattered by that. Thank you.
Well, I guess, I mean, you are our guest this episode. Sure. Very gracious. Can you tell the folks at home where they can find you online, what sorts of things you have going on?
Yeah, every time this happens, I'm like, I should have probably written a list. You can find my articles talking about RPGs on Gnome Stew. You can listen to me talk more about RPGs on Pandas Talk Games, which is a podcast that releases most Wednesdays, not every single Wednesday, but most Wednesdays. And if you want to, it's starting to age a little bit, but you can still catch back episodes of my actual play, She's a Super Geek, online as well. And you can find this game and one or two other weird little games on my itch, which is at Idella Mythland, which is a username that I've used in many places across the internet, except that I am now mostly on Blue Sky, where I am simply Senda.
Yeah.
Because I was there early enough to just get my name, which is great.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, we'll have links in the show notes for those that aren't in the know on how to spell Idella Mythland.
IDELLAMITHLYNND. It's easy.
It is easy, especially when you know what letters go where.
Yeah, especially when you have it written down in front of you.
Amazing. Well, Senda, thank you so much for introducing this game to us. And thank you, all of our listeners, for joining us for this second of our duo and solo romance RPG series. This was You Never Told Me. Super fun.
Thank you. Hooray. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So please join us next week when we are going to be covering a romantic solo RPG called Reincarnated as the Unlovable Villainess.
Oh, isekai. Isekai.
Exactly. Call to action.
Yeah, like that.
Okay, I want to keep this brief, but this game is phenomenal for character creation. The prompts that we get back and forth with one another, the extra bits of information that they produce in this conversation that we have really only works when you have the two people working on the characters together in this, and it is very satisfying. And actually, Senda and I are going to be doing an actual play of this. So this will be one of those rare circumstances that we actually get to play the characters that we create on the show. So we'll be doing a back and forth through Google Docs and seeing kind of how that all works and plays out. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with Senda here in this episode, and I'm really, really excited about what we came up with. And I'm really excited to see kind of where that leads for these characters. But before we let you go for the day, we do have some calls to action. First up, if you haven't checked out the Patreon or our Discord yet, now is a great time to do so. We have well over 19 stickers, probably 20 once Amelia has a chance to get to this last month's series, probably 21 after this month's series, and we would love to send those to you at the $10 level. So we also have some custom C3 dice that we have plenty of, as well as personalized thank you cards at the $5 and up levels that we would love to send you. And we have bonus chit chat episodes whenever we have the time to create those, and more at the $1 and up level. It's also worth noting at the $5 level, we also have bonus episodes, and we're going to be having things coming out for that soon, I think. I'm planning to do some solo AP, and I'm just kind of noodling on the format for that. So that'll be coming later this year. And we even have bonus outtakes and other periodic information for all of our free patrons and up, including a potential future newsletter, if we ever get around to that again. You can check all of these out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast, or just join the discussion and the latest show announcements on our Discord at discord.charactercreationcast.com. In addition to all of that, we'd like to thank our current patrons every episode. Your support truly helps out a great deal. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Thank you to DJG, aka Tigranosaurus, Eric Bonds, and Daryl Holiday II, We couldn't do this without you. Thank you to Shadim Cabal, the Shyest Barbarian, and Benjamin Sweeney. We couldn't do this without you as well. Thank you to Rob Fletcher, Kevin Brown, and Tentacle Duck. So glad to have you backing us. John Adamus, A3 Sketchpad, and Cole McCallum, thank you for your continued support. Carlos Salazar, Eric S., and Ian Popmeyer, our deepest thanks to you. Thank you to Liam G., Brian Colm, and Garden GM. Really glad to have you here with us. Tanglefoot, Blue Kryptonite, and Danny, thank you for your continued support. We appreciate your support as well. Nicole Trainer, Leah Murray, and Kenning, thank you. Thank you to Brian Kurtz, Marky Fair, and Drew Owen. And finally, Oz, you shouldn't have, but we are so glad that you did. And thank you to all of our future patrons. This is truly where we need your help right now. Our Patreon currently doesn't quite cover our operating costs every month between the podcast costs and the Patreon rewards and whatnot. So we need you to help us get back to a sustainable level. Just 1 or 2 more campaign level patrons will certainly get us there for now. But if you are able to chip in even a little bit, or even just sign up for the free tier to get these exclusive updates and outtakes and whatnot, that would mean the world to us. Our community is wonderful, and the patrons have been a big part of making it a absolutely great place to be. So check it out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out. That's all that we have for today's episode. Join me here next week, where we will be covering a solo romance RPG called Reincarnated as the Unlovable Villainess. Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Boelter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Boelter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.